afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition. My name is Isa Nu. Today we shall be focusing still on the issue of managing protest, and most especially when it becomes violent. And these are issues that are very, very important to Nigerians with respect to the outcome of the protest that has dwindled down. And then we've seen so many protesters in some states trying to hijack institutions, facilities that doesn't actually belongs to the government, and this is not a very good omen for Nigerian protesters. Taking what doesn't belong to you is not the best for our society, because we have so many issues in the country, and if we are actually protesting on issues like these, national issues, you'll be able to coordinate yourself to see that, yes, at the end of the day, the government listens to you. But then, we've seen so many violent protests. But then, unfortunately, just 2 days back, something happened in Zaria where a young child was shot dead by a soldier in Zaria, and definitely it rang so much bell in the country as at yesterday. And just this morning I was also informed that the family members will be having a meeting with the GOC in Basawa Barracks in Zaria. His name is Ismail Muhammad, who was shot during the process whereby the soldiers were trying to see that, yes, residents of Samaru community maintains law and order when the curfew was stated by the governor. But then for shooting a very young child of within the age of 16, 17, definitely something that many Nigerians rose to the occasion to say, no, this is not what they signed for. But today we'll be having that conversation with Honorable Fowobi Desmond to tell us more about the issue of protest and how we can manage it. But then we'll go on a very short break, and when we return, we start the conversation. On how we can use protest to achieve what we intend to. And I remember Honorable Desmond in one of our programs, this states that yes, protest is good, but the issue is that what about if it is being hijacked by persons of other interest? And this is one of the major reasons why we are having him here today, to tell us more about what is his observation during the last protest, and also to respond to issues regarding how security personnel should conduct themselves during protests. So Desmond, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Good afternoon, Isa. Good afternoon, Nigerians. I'm happy to be here in the studio this afternoon.
Okay, it's very great having you here today because of issues that were coming out of that particular protest. Before the protest, we had a conversation, and then you kicked against protest not having a face. That's the leaders. People were saying that everybody is a leader. It is impossible for you to manage an affair where there is no leadership. And this was a fear. But looking at what happened in Kano State, in Gombe State, in Kaduna State, what were your summation at the end of the day?
You see, I believe in proactiveness, not just actions, but also in thinking. I am one of the people who believed in thinking outcomes of every action, because for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. I was not against protest. I believe that it is one of the components of democracy towards seeking for redress. But another thing you need to factor into your thinking is your community, your environment, and the level of the maturity of the young people. I am a Nigerian, and I relate with a lot of people, the Nigerian people, the youth population. What is the level of the maturity of these young people? When you understand their level of maturity, then you'll be able to make certain decision that is critical to salvaging the situation. And that was why I said we shouldn't go for protest. Instead of protest, we should embrace dialogue, because most protests that I've seen across the world always end in dialogue. When we already knew that the end bad governance protest in Nigeria may likely end in dialogue, why then do we have to sponsor that kind of thing to cause wanton lives and property, destruction of lives and properties. That was why I knew that it is not going to be easy for us in this country to manage protest. I knew that there will be destruction of properties. I knew that life will be lost, but I never knew where it will come from, whether in the southwest, in the southeast, in the northwest, or in the north central. Unfortunately, the scenario that occurred in Kaduna State, in Kano State, in Gombe State is that beats my understanding and is so pathetic, because even the people who are proposing this protest, they knew that they don't have the capacity. The government do not have the capacity. We are talking about widespread hunger and widespread illiteracy and lack of control of the youth batch. We do not have the capacity as country. We do not have the capacity as organizers of protest to manage the conduct of the people. I am not even talking about being hijacked. The protest is yet to be hijacked. It is the protesters that are fermenting all the troubles you have seen everywhere. They were not sponsored. They were the protesters. And you will expect to get that kind of behavior from them because, one, of their level of maturity, number two, level of education, number three, managing the huge population. I've seen stampedes. I've seen situations where there was no protest. In churches, people died because of stampedes, because of lack of management of crowd control during the immigration in 2014. You see, you don't bring people together without proper management and expect that they will conduct themselves peacefully. It's not possible. There is no notion like peaceful protest anywhere in the world. Let's not buy into that. You cannot have a peaceful protest, even in the educated north. Talking about UK, talking about America, talking about all this place, talking about France. You can't have a peaceful protest anywhere in the world. The least is having it in Nigeria. You can't.
No, but when you say you can't have a peaceful protest anyway, but we've seen situations, even in the UK, where people go out to the protest. Apart from the riots,
it wasn't peaceful. No, there was looting of shops and everything in the UK. It was there in the May there.
No, I'm not referring to this last one that happened. In the past, we've seen situations where people actually go out to protest. And even in Sweden, in Austria, you see them protest. But then you don't actually see this level of violence.
I did say something earlier that you have to tap into the psychology of the Nigerian youth. Our youth are bedeviled with widespread of illiteracy, especially in the north, and that is what is haunting us in this 21st century. This protest did go on in different parts of Nigeria. Why do we have this horrible result from the north? Because of the level of poverty, level of education, and all that. And that is why I have always said, why not go for dialogue instead of going for protest and coming back to dialogue?
But people have also countered, because I've also listened to this same narrative, and people have also countered it, that even that of the NSAS, that there was issue of same problem, destroying of public buildings, stealing of properties and the rest. So is it that generally when you look at the statistics, you tend to wonder, majority of those people who carry out this particular act are within the age of 16 to 35, or even less than that. So how can we play a major role to actually inform people on the better way of protesting? You suggested a means the other day. You said on social media, you can, on Twitter, people can protest. But I remember the other guest I had said, no, that will not be enough.
You knew Dr. Betta Edu,
yes,
the then Honorable Minister of Humanitarian, was hosted out of that office as a result of protests by Nigerians on the social media, Twitter, Facebook, and the likes. People went to protest against wrongdoings in the office and demand from Mr. President for her removal. And Mr. President saw that cry, that protesting people from the internet and did the needful. See, let me tell you, we need to understand what they call community organizing. We need to be organized as community, as people. The social media is a community. We need to start thinking of how to organize the social media that we can build a virtual community. You don't understand what I'm saying? We need to grow to a certain level on the social media and build a viable, a controllable society. We need to take charge of the social media as a physical place. We need to understand that there is so much power in the social media. There is nobody you will drag like a generator on the social media that will not be scared of his life. Because the social media goes viral. And the essence of protesting is because you want to seek redress and you want to show to the world, you want to show to the people concerned that you are hungry. And who tells you that the people you are trying to call attention are not on social media? The president is there, the vice president is there, all the ministers are there, all the governors are there, their essays are there. Everybody is on the social media. But one thing we are lacking presently is lack of organization. We need to start organizing that community for a productive engagement. We need to start taking advantage of technology. I think that is what we need now in Nigeria.
But in this particular case, when you talk about technology, you talk about proper organization and the rest of it.
Yes.
It all boils down still to this particular enlightenment role that we have to play as a society, of which the National Orientation Agency, I believe they should be doing more than what they are doing currently. And then you also look at the issue of education, which is very key, because for you to enlighten people, you have to create a means of education.
Yeah.
And that, for me, actually played a significant role with respect to this last protest. If people are not educated, you see them going haywire.
You need to understand something, and it is very critical to national growth and development, and that is the office of the Orientation Agency, National Orientation Agency. If I am the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and I have good intention, because it is difficult to solve a problem when you don't know the roots. Our national orientation in Nigeria today is a mess, a mirage of a nation. Our general perception, understanding, and view about the Nigerian society by the Nigerians is a real problem to us. A lot of Nigerians do not even understand what is our value system. They do not understand the role of diversity. They do not understand the role of tolerance. They do not understand the role of inclusivity. They do not understand the role of participation and sacrifice in nation building. Whose ball or whose responsibility it is? The National Orientation Agency. The last time I checked, when I had an engagement with the DG, who was lamenting underfunding, and it is indeed true, and it was deliberate. It was deliberate by some leaders that we have in the past. They under-sponsor that agency so that they won't live up to their expectation, so that they want to create an informed society, an educated society, so that it can become instrument of destruction, instrument that will be readily available for their own selfish use. And that is the reason why that particular agency did not get the proper attention by the presidency. Now, if I happen to be the president, the first thing I need to correct is give them massive employment. I don't need to employ people into police, into Nigerian army. I need to employ more people, sound people, counselors, passionate Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians into that agency. And I will make sure that I build in every local government. I will make sure that I give them a befitting offices in the 774 local government, where there will be facilities for people to come in to play games, watch football, and do all that. So it will be easy to meet young people from the community level and give them and instill in them the national value, the national knowledge, the teaching of patriotism, and giving them information about even how to benefit from government offices and agencies and activities. All this is what is lacking. Do you know that this protest that is going on right now is as a result of misinformation or lack of credible information? And that is one of the role of the National Orientation Agency, apart from teaching the children of the country the right way to go towards contributing to development, is also to give them adequate information about what is going on in the MDAs, in the ministries. So, and also give them direction. Do you know how many years it took me to know the functions of different ministries? I have been to the university, graduated after some years before I begin to know the workings of government. Originally, this is what the National Orientation Agency should be doing. And you know, one thing will shock you. They have offices in local government attached to the secretariat, the LGAs secretariats in 774 local government of Nigeria. But the question is, have you seen any practical activities sponsored, organized, and monitored by the National Orientation Agency? That is where our problem is coming from. Today, I am no longer your brother's keeper. Who is supposed to teach me to be your brother's keeper? The NOA. It's not the church. The church will be selfish. The mosque will be selfish. The traditionalists will be selfish. But the National Orientation Agency that have the coloration of the traditionalists, the Christian, the Muslim, would have an agenda towards building what they call patriotism, the standard value for growth in every community. That is where we are having problem. It's not about the economy. It's not about corruption. Who is supposed to even teach you the danger of corruption? The NOA. The NOA is supposed to be the national treasure, and where people will get information and get the right value system. But because they have not been working for many years, that is the first reason for the woes that we are facing in Nigeria.
You've stated it much, and I want you to also look at this particular, because now that you've mentioned the National Orientation Agency, it beats my mind to see that even during the time of the protest in Kaduna, in Kano, we saw some young persons flagging, using the flag of another country during the protest. And to many, they say some of people don't even know the implication of this. And I feel that is even the more reason why we should also understand the value of our national flag, and why we shouldn't portray other people's flag during events like that.
Do you know that Nigerians naturally do not even know the importance of the national anthem? Most Nigerians do not even understand the symbol, the coat of arms, the integrity, the value of the coat of arms, let alone the flag. Most people that have carried the flag in their hand, they did that out of ignorance. If I am a governor, I'm the president, I will not blame them. Charging them treasonable fellows because they are carrying flag is not their fault. They do not know the implication. They are not the one who did that. But if you can nip the sponsor, the producer of those flags, fine, because those ones have intention and they know the implication of their actions. But you see those people that is hosting that flag, they do not know anything about the flag. They do not even know the country that the flag belongs to. And that is where I am telling you that there is a fundamental failure in the National Orientation Agency, and it was deliberate. That is the reflection of the kind of leaders we have. The National Orientation was created for a purpose. What is the vision? What is the mission? Why was it intended in the first place? After the Civil War, why was it intended? So that we can correct all the anomalies and the misinformation that people spread as rumors that is causing hatred among different ethnic groups in Nigeria. So since the collapse of National Orientation Agency, Nigeria has been dwindling down in terms of value, in terms of political value, in terms of stability, in terms of love, in terms of patriotism. It has been dwindling. So right now, to get Nigeria working, as you work on NMPC, as you work on our education, as you work on our policies, you also need to work on the National Orientation Agency beyond Abuja office. Go back to their local government, make sure you employ people with capacity, people that have the love of the country in their heart. And you will know during the screening, there are questions you ask them from the way they show. Some people, there are people that are ready to work in that place with that salary.
Yeah.
There are some Nigerians that are willing to work in the National Orientation Agency with a salary. Bring these people in. Give them enabling environments. We'll talk about salary later when Nigeria is working. But there are people that want to partner, the civil society organization, they want to partner. Give them the enabling environment. Let's get Nigeria working again. Sir, I tell you, Nigerian problem is complex. But sir, this is a simple way to address it. Let's start from there. After sometimes it will be a pointer to us to know the other, to start solving the other complex. But this particular orientation, educating the Nigerian people, see, you need to make it more lucrative. You need to make that office more active. That office should take charge of this country. When National Orientation Agency, an institution with the right team, takes charge of orientating Nigeria, I tell you that this country will be on the pedestal of growth. Look at America, look at UK, look at France, look at China. These people have a strong value system built in them by their government.
That brings me to this particular understanding, and I see just recently, I think during the Olympics, instead of playing the new national anthem, the previous one was played. So it also falls back on us in the society, for even the ministry, or maybe let me say the LOC, local organizing committee, in terms of the Olympic, for them not to be able to update activities like even the national. So this call for actually is an embarrassment, embarrassment. But
somebody is responsible for that. Somebody is being paid for that particular thing, and that person is not doing that. Nobody is saying anything. So those little things goes a long way to define a serious government and a serious people.
But in this particular case now we've looked at the issue of why it is not good for protesters to go violent, most especially in a situation like this where the education level, out of school children level, everything is increasing. But let me bring you back to something that happened some days back. A young man was killed in Zaria, a young boy within the range of 16. He was shot twice. And I remember the Nigerian army released a public statement noting that he was a protester. But later on, I think that that issue was confirmed that there was no protest in Zaria, in Sama, one of the most peaceful community, just a community that is even hosting the Ahmadu Bello University. The guy was inside when he was shot twice on his neck and then his spinal cord. And I was able to reach out to the family, and they explained the situation. The military personnel, the GOC, General Officer Command, went down to the family's house and paid them visit, and now they are, I think as of today or yesterday, they were having they had conversation and they started investigation. Short, the soldier that carried out that particular act has been caught and is under proper investigation. When it comes to issue of protest like this, how should the security agency conduct themselves?
First of all, you need to understand the concept of the Nigerian security. You need to know the function and the role of the civil defense, know the function and the role of the police, and the role and the function of the Nigerian army. You see, the Nigerian army have no business whatsoever in managing protest, because their personnel have not been given the right orientation, the right teachings, the right training. And then I believe there should be departments.
But there are departments. There are the civil military departments.
There are supposed to be departments. You don't just, you see, let me tell you something, Isa. When you see a wrong anywhere, somebody has goofed somewhere. It could be the director, it could be the system, it could be some anomalies that goes on in the system. It is a goof. You must know your employee and you must give them instruction. They worked with instruction. The military man that fired bullets at innocent child or innocent children did that with an instruction from somewhere. Because if it was not given that instruction, I know they are disciplined. Militaries are disciplined people. You cannot just do things on your own unless you follow the instruction. There must have been an instruction that you need to contain these boys, and that was what he was acting on, but he was acting unprofessionally. There are a lot of unprofessional personnel. It just happened to this person. It has been happening. It's happening now. It will still happen tomorrow if we don't do the needful. We have to put in what they call systematic correction, systematic solution to that. What is the systematic solution? Put in the civil, the police that understood clearly how to manage situation like that. Put them in front. It is when we're having external issues, that is why you bring in the army. The army should not even be close in this kind of situation. Army should be backup. They should be backup like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer away when the police have been overpowered. But in this situation, the army is showing unnecessary show of force for the citizens that the country has failed to educate, the citizens that are living in abject poverty, the citizens that are not aware to understand the workings of government, the citizens who have already lost interest and trust in government. And these people are your citizens. These people are your children. It could happen to anybody. It could have been my son. It could have been anybody's children. So we need to understand that we always have, because we're going to have some mad dogs in this system, in this army soldiers, we're going to have some people that, you know, have 5 minutes madness, 10 minutes madness. So it is now for you, it's now behold on you to create an institutional solution to this problem. And by that, you will limit their mistakes. This, at the end of the day, they will tell you that it was a mistake. Maybe he had taken some alcohol or he goofed or something. But the point is that we can prevent that. It does not require rocket science. Give these military guys enough training. We are not training them enough. That is one. Then number two, the people who are in charge, you need to understand the role of people who manage society, the sociologists.
The field worker.
Make sure you have people in the military that understand the workings of the society, understand the psychology of every society, employ the right people to manage the Nigerian military, because they are human beings just like me and you. But when you do not give them the right education and the right training, they will always goof. And finally, in protests like this, you know, I was talking about the protesters. I told you the capacity. Most of them do not have the right information or maturity to manage or to handle protest. It is now behold on the government to see how they can create a balance. Government is always reactionary instead of being proactive.
Yeah.
I knew that there is going to be serious mess. So every serious government needs to have a committee, a think tank, a national security think tank that is combined of the professional and the conventional security people and the civil society, that will always, when there is a crisis, there has to be a situation room. In this situation room, every steps and action that the police, the army, or the air force will be taking will be joint, something that will be agreed upon based on the understanding of the different people and different behavior that you see in protesting situation. So we need to advance in our thinking as a society. There is solution to every problem, but we are not taking advantage of these windows. We have brilliant Nigerians. We have intelligent officers. We need to separate the wheat from the chaff. We need to know the right people you send internally, and those kind of people, you send them to Boko Haram, you send them to Sambisa Forest, you send them against the banditry. They can just shoot anyhow in the bush. You need to be able to separate the good officers from the bad officers. Not all good officers are intelligent.
Yeah.
There are some don't united in the officers, among the officers, and there are intelligent and brilliant officers that knows the role and the profession. Some do not know. So these are the issues we're going to be having in society, and that's why we need experts, sociologists, even among the army. You don't just employ people randomly and give them sensitive position. Everybody have their role in the building of a new Nigeria that we are bringing on board.
Most especially when it comes to a tense environment where people are actually under curfew. Everybody is trying to see that despite the challenges we have as a country, we are trying to survive the situation, and now we are now adding more to the family. And just yesterday I had the privilege of speaking with the dad, and he told me that they will be meeting with the that's the GOC of that particular barrack, I think Basawa barrack in Zaria, and I hope justice will be done.
Let me just add this because of time.
Yeah.
This issue now that happened to that child is a national issue and is not gaining the right media attention that I expect.
No, it is not.
It is not. Because it's not trending on the social media. It should be trending. Let me tell you, it should be trending. Not because of that particular scenario, but because of what? The occurrence of it. So that in every barracks, in every control or command, GOC, will be able to understand that there is likelihood of what happened in Zaria yesterday, some days back, to happen again if the right things were not done. And the Nigerian military needs to take responsibility and, in sober reflection, apologize not just to the family, but to the entire Nigerian youth, teenage. They need to show something that will prove to the people that they are really, really sorry. And that particular officer, beyond being punished, he should make to face the family and regret for some months before he will be punished.
Because I think one thing was very, very clear, and one thing I made them to understand is that, look, no matter what, you cannot say that during curfew there was protest. There was no protest, there was curfew. And killing somebody during curfew is even the worst of it all, because I remember the statement was that he was a protester, a young man.
Even a protester, you do not have right to shoot a protester.
Not to talk of a man.
We are not talking about whether he's protesting or not. That is not the argument. The argument is that does the Nigerian police officer have the right to shoot
to him at a teenager
protester?
Yes.
These guys are harmless. These guys are only carrying leaves. The best, that tells you that our security architecture needs to be worked on. It just exposes also their vulnerability and their level of intelligence. I'm telling you right now, the Nigerian society is in a serious mess. If the Nigerian government do not do more in trying to contain excessive use of force by our security architectures, our security agents, and give them the right training. Training is very important.
Indeed, very important.
Some of them, when they get into that office, they will not get any other training until they will retire from that service. So in-house and in-work training is very, very important to keep our police officers, our military officers in check always. So
just in few seconds, was your last statement to the late Ismail Mohammed, who was killed by the soldier. What was your last statement to the
first of all, may Almighty Allah grant Ismail's souls rest. And beyond that, I want to express my heartfelt condolences to the entire family and the entire people of Zaria and Kaduna State. And to all Nigerian teenagers, I would like us to always run away from any scene of protest, any scene of conflict. We should always run far away. Accidents happen, but if you run too far away, you may not be a victim. May God help Nigeria. And I want to call on all Nigerians, let's be patriotic. It is behold on us to rebuild this country and to make Nigeria work. Nobody will do that for us. We alone can do it put Nigeria in the right path.
Thank you so much, Honorable Desmond Fowobi Olariwaju, for joining us today on the afternoon edition. It's nice having you, and this is how far we can go today on the program, the afternoon edition, and we pray that may Almighty Allah grant Ismail Muhammad the family the fortitude to bear this loss, and may Allah make it easy for every one of us as Nigerians in order for us to progress as a nation. My name is Isanu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.